Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Women's Coffee Club. We created this club to provide a safe space for women to share and inspire each other. So grateful to have all of you here, especially Nicole, our presenter this morning. She'll be talking about the secret to immune health. So that is the secret to how to unlock the secret uh, for autoimmune health. I guess that's like how do you can having to understand your health issue uh, through the root causes, what's causing the real problem to your health issue would be very helpful in your health journey. So with that, I'm just gonna ask Nicole to provide us with a little bit about her background and then why this topic is so important to her. Go ahead, Nicole.
All right, thanks, Rena. Rainey, I'm Nicole. I have been a functional practitioner for over 17 years. My specialty is in autoimmune. And the reasons why are I was exposed to mold back in 2001. I was in a coma for about 4 months. When I came back into the world, I felt like I needed to also give back. So I felt like I was given a second chance on life, literally. And I really went down the autoimmune path because with everything that had happened with my own health, it had really triggered some autoimmune symptoms. And I was able over a period of time to finally get all of my autoimmune under control. What I realized during that time is how many women are truly affected with autoimmune diseases. And so it's a lot more than most of us think. Women are powerhouses. We push through things often. We also get very misdiagnosed and are not always heard in the medical world. And so it's really why I decided to go down this path of helping others be seen, be heard, and understand what's really going on with their bodies. So, with that being said, can I share a PowerPoint with you guys?
Yeah, please. You're going to be explaining what autoimmune is.
hmm I'll explain what
Okay.
it is, who has it, um, why some of the holistic things we can do to help this along, how to be seen and heard when we do go to the doctors. So, let's go.
Okay,
All
sounds good.
right, let me share my PowerPoint. Oh my goodness. Do I have two PowerPoints going on at the same time? Hang on just a minute, ladies. I apologize. Nothing like having the wrong PowerPoint up. There we go. This one should work. All right. Where is my PowerPoint's being a little funky this morning. Hang on, guys. I apologize. Why is it not going into presentation mode? I've never had that happen before.
Go to the slideshow.
Yeah, it's not showing on my side. That's really odd. Here, go here. Hmm. Can you see the
Even
slideshow?
Can you
at the
send your
very
slide?
top, at the very top, it says slideshow right there.
Yeah,
If
there you
you
go.
click that and
There we
it
go.
says from the
I
beginning.
got it. Yep, I got it. There we go.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about unlocking the secrets of autoimmune, really reclaiming energy, joy, and mojo. It's what most women want, right? It's time to listen to your body. She's been whispering to you for years. So oftentimes women have autoimmune symptoms and they don't even realize it. And so I'm a big advocate of learning to listen to our bodies and what it's really telling us. So, what is autoimmune disease? So, and I say this when I put that on there for women from the heart. Here's the thing, ladies. Most of us know somebody, if not ourselves, that have been silently dealing with autoimmune disease. So I want you to imagine that your body is like your personal security team. It's trained to spot intruders like viruses and bacteria and kick them out. Okay. But with autoimmune conditions, that security system really gets confused and it starts attacking our own tissues, like our thyroid, our joints, our skin, our gut, thinking that they're really the enemy. And here's the kicker, it just isn't happening to a few of us. Over 80% of autoimmune cases happen in women, and that's not a coincidence. It's hormonal, it's genetic, and it's tied to stress and lifestyle too. All right. And as women, we're so busy taking care of our families, the people around us, work, all those extra things that sometimes we don't even realize what's going on in our body. What does autoimmune look like? Because a lot of people will say, well, what does that look like if it's attacking our body? Fatigue, low-grade fevers without any explanation, joint pain, stiffness, muscle aches, digestive issues, brain fog, thinning hair. A lot of women get thinning hair, mood changes, skin issues, sensitivity to cold or heat, fertility issues, and even weight gain can be all linked to autoimmune. And the numbers to me, every year, these numbers change and they really are quite staggering to me. So the American Autoimmune Related Disease Association recognizes that there's over 100 distinct autoimmune diseases now, and at least 40 additional diseases suspected to have an autoimmune component. So the numbers are crazy. 15 million people, about 4.6% of the US population, have actually been diagnosed with at least one autoimmune. Oftentimes, if you have one autoimmune, you'll have two or three. Your body will start attacking other areas. So 34% of the individuals diagnosed literally had more than one diagnosis. Around 23.5 million Americans are affected by autoimmune disease, according to the National Institute of Health, and up to 50 million people may be living with an autoimmune disease that they don't even necessarily know. It's either been undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. That's almost 20% of our population. So think about 1 in 5 people. So there's 5 of us on here right now. So imagine at least 5 of us. One of us has at least one autoimmune condition, probably in this group. Okay. Just out of curiosity, has anybody been diagnosed or ever thought they have autoimmune symptoms? Can you raise your hand? Do you think so? Not
I
sure.
think that
Okay.
like I have some of the symptoms, but I didn't know it was autoimmune.
Yeah, happens quite a bit.
And I don't
All
know if
right. So some of the
arthritis, I don't know if arthritis and inflammation are considered the autoimmune. I think they might be, but I'm not sure.
they they absolutely are.
Okay.
Arthritis is autoimmune. Yeah. So some of the common autoimmune diseases, and these are just some of the big ones. There's over 100. Hashimoto's thyroiditis, rheumatoid arthritis, regular arthritis as well, lupus, multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes, psoriasis, celiac, Sjögren's syndrome, Graves, Crohn's disease, alopecia, and vitiligo. And those are just a couple of them. Like that's literally a handful. When we look at eczema, we look at some of the hormone things that go on with women, type 2 diabetes, all of those fall under autoimmune. So it's actually very prevalent and people just don't realize that's what it is. And here's the thing. Most women are either misdiagnosed or they're not heard in this community. It often takes anywhere between 4 to 10 years to actually get a diagnosis in many, many cases, which is really amazing to me. So when I was in my 20s, I was physically exhausted. Now, mind you, I got married right out of high school. So I got married, I was going to college. I had 3 children by the time I got my master's degree. So I was busy, but I was exhausted. And it wasn't just like I was tired because I was a mom and going to school full time. I felt like there were days that I had to peel myself off of the floor, right? Like just very exhausted. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor literally told me, you're a mom, you're going to school, you're busy. I think maybe we should just give you some Prozac. And I was like, I'm not taking Prozac. Like, there's nothing wrong with my head. I'm exhausted. Right. That was my answer. And I was so offended. And I remember like I was in my late 20s and I was really offended. In my 30s, all of a sudden I had another time in my life where I felt the same way. I was just downright exhausted. So I went to the doctor and he says, well, you probably have Epstein-Barr, which is a virus. And he says, your numbers are a little elevated. And he says, but you're a mom. This was their excuse. And this was 2 separate doctors. You're a mom. And so let's give you some Prozac. And again, I was
Wow.
so offended. I was like, I went home and I actually took the Prozac for a couple of days and it made me feel even worse that I didn't take it anymore. Like I took it for like 3 days because I didn't need Prozac, right? And so in my 40s, again, I was having these restless legs. I was having all kinds of symptoms. I go to the doctor and the new word had popped up. You have fibromyalgia. I'm like, I don't have fibromyalgia. Like I knew, like I was, again, I've always read, I've always stayed on top of things. And I was like, there's something else going on with me. And so they tested my TSH, which is just one little component of autoimmune stuff. And it came back in their numbers okay. And he said, well, I think you might have the onset of fibromyalgia. And here's what we can do. We can give you gabapentin and or we can give you some Zoloft. So now we've switched over to Zoloft because that was a new drug at the time. And I refused both of them. And I pushed through this. Like I literally pushed through this. Then I ended up with the mold situation. And after the mold situation, my autoimmune stuff really came to a peak. And I was actually able to get some more information. And I started testing positive for some things. But it's interesting because medical research, when they used to do research, all of the studies were done mostly with men, not women. Oftentimes, autoimmune systems are vague or invisible. So if you can't see it, it's not necessarily happening. One of the big things that I used to complain about was under my skin, and I don't know how to explain this other than to explain this was it hurt under my skin sometimes. Like it hurt to touch my skin, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so it was such a weird sensation. And I couldn't explain it other than that. Like it hurt under my skin. Also, they have the bias of being emotional. We are emotional creatures. Thank goodness we're emotional creatures, right? Like it's such a plus that we are so heart-centered and so emotional. But doctors often go, okay, well, you're just being emotional. You're a mom, you're a woman, you're this. And they slap us with a Zoloft or a Prozac, right? Like that was not the way to go. And then oftentimes, autoimmune, like I said, it can take 4 to 10 years before you actually show antibodies. And so if you're not showing antibodies, it can take such a long time. And it takes years sometimes for those antibodies to show up. And sometimes they never show up. The other problem is women normalize their symptoms. We're tired because we are a mom. We're tired because we do all the things. We cook dinner, we take care of our families, we're wives, we're partners, we're volunteers, we're caretakers. So we often will say, "Oh, this is normal. This is where we are." And then the other thing that happens often in autoimmune is healthcare gaslighting. And the people will be told, oh, our labs look normal. Nothing's wrong with you. And you see a couple things that are kind of funky on your labs, and you don't necessarily understand labs. And being a functional um, blood work specialist, now I look at that and I go, oh my goodness, labs aren't always normal. What they're normal to what maybe Western medicine thinks, but not what the average American person feels. And so functional numbers in blood work are very different. So there is a lot of healthcare gaslighting that does happen, especially to women. And so the one thing if I can really like express to all of you is we need to be our best advocates when we go to the doctors. And I do believe we need medical care. So even though I lean towards the alternative side of things, I do believe that we need medical care. So even right now, unfortunately, I'm taking some heart medication just for a short period of time because I needed to take this medication. So sometimes we do need medications, and sometimes there are things going on with our bodies. But if you're not feeling well, if there's something wrong and your doctor's not listening, you need to like really stand up for yourselves because oftentimes we are very misheard and misdiagnosed. Okay. All right. So what can we do? The first thing is to trust our intuition. We know our bodies better than anybody else, right? We absolutely know our bodies better than anybody else. It's also a really good thing to track symptoms. So, people will say, oh, I have a headache, or I get headaches, or I get migraines, or, I had this infection. We should keep track of when we're not feeling well. It gives us so many clues, right? Like I said, advocating in our appointments as well, like really standing up for ourselves and building a support team. So whether it's a friend, a loved one, somebody who can go to the doctor with you, a support group, a women's group. You guys have a fantastic group. So all of those things are really important about really advocating for our health. And then keep telling stories. So our stories really become strength, right? When we're not feeling well, when we're not, when these things have happened to us, it's really up to us to tell our stories so other, especially women and children, can hear and know that they should be really paying attention to their bodies and the stories that come out of it, because it's really sad that it can take 10 years for somebody to get a diagnosis, right? And 10 years of not necessarily having the care that somebody needs. So telling stories really creates strength. All right. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about blood work. As a functional blood work specialist, if I didn't talk to you about this, then I would feel like I was doing you guys a disservice. So most people know that we have white blood cells, but they don't necessarily know exactly what they do. So they're called leukocytes or white corpuscles. And they're a cellular component in the blood that lacks hemoglobin. So hemoglobin is our red blood cells. It has a nucleus and it's capable of motility and it defends the body against infection and disease. So that's really what our white blood cells do. They are responsible for protecting our body from infection. All right. So they fight off bacteria, they fight off viral infections, fungal infections, parasites. Our white blood cells do a lot. And I'm just going to tell you about a couple of our white blood cells because when we get our complete blood counts done, which is pretty common, there are 5 markers that we should be watching, but we should be walking, but I'm going to go over 2 that are very important today. So our white blood count, these are functional numbers, you guys. If our white blood count is less than 5 or it's greater than 8, in the functional world, we know that we have a low-grade infection. All right. So this is a low-grade infection. This isn't like, oh my goodness, I have an extreme bacterial infection and I need to go into the hospital. This is a low-grade infection, and low-grade infections can cause havoc in our bodies. All right. So we have something, but like I said, there's a breakdown of 5 different markers, and I'm going to go over 2 that are really important when it comes to autoimmune. So our neutrophils are, let me tell you what neutrophils really are. They fight off bacteria. Okay. Neutrophils fight off bacteria and fungus. And so we want that number to be less than 60. So if you have a CBC with differential, it will give the breakdown of these 5 markers that I'm talking about. and neutrophils fight off bacteria and fungus. If they're higher than 60, we know you have a low-grade bacterial or fungal infection. Can you guess what the biggest bacterial infection symptoms might be if you have a bacterial infection?
Yes.
Yeah, gas, bloating, IBS, diarrhea, constipation, food sensitivities, digestive issues. All of those are signs that you have a low-grade bacterial infection. Okay. All right. Lymphocytes fight off viruses. So if your lymphocytes are higher than 30%, then we know that you have a low-grade viral infection. All right. This is the best picture I could try to find. I was like, it's hard to find something like representing a virus. You guys, can you guess what this symptom is with my silly picture here?
Headache.
Fatigue.
Fatigue. Pain, chronic pain, joint pain, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia. Interesting, right? Can present itself as all of those things. So anytime you have pain, joint pain, arthritis, you do have a low-grade viral infection. All right. Now, what I have seen over the last 17 years is people who have a low-grade viral infection often have autoimmune symptoms. And here's some correlation of how this works. We want that bacteria and virus to be at that 60%, 30% ratio, right? Like that would be the perfect, it's never going to be exactly 60-30. I saw somebody the other day with 60-29, and I was like, oh my goodness, they're almost perfect. So it's pretty rare. These numbers will be like 58-32, like they're going to be off a little bit. They're not going to be exactly 60-30. But that's the perfect world of what we want to see, your neutrophils and your lymphocytes. But when this happens, this gets concerning. So the closer these numbers get together, like this 42, 45, 40, 47, like when we start seeing them in the 40s and they're getting closer and closer together, this is a sign that doctors often overlook. And this is telling you that you have an autoimmune ratio. So it is a clue.
Pardon me. Sorry for interrupting, but what numbers were those?
Your
for?
Your lymphocytes and
right. Okay.
And your neutrophils.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So if they start coming closer together, so if you look at blood work, it just means that somebody's really having a flare up when they go in to have their blood work done. So Sandra, I think you said you have some rheumatoid arthritis.
Just osteo.
Osteo. Okay.
Not rheumatoid, it's osteoarthritis, but it's pretty much through my body.
Yeah, and that's autoimmune as well, osteo. So when you have a flare up, there's probably times that you feel worse than other times, right? When you hurt more, sometimes than other times. So if you are having a flare up and you happen to have your blood work done at that time, your neutrophils and your lymphocytes are probably close together at that point.
Oh.
So when you're having that flare up. And so that's what happens. And so often if we look at blood work patterns over, once a year for 3 or 4 years, sometimes we'll see those patterns where you'll see that it's closer together, then it's not, then it's closer together. It's usually because you're having a flare up. And we often go to the doctor when we're what? Not feeling well, right? So oftentimes it will show up. So it's just a clue that there's an autoimmune component going on in your body, right? Your body's attacking itself. We don't like that. We don't want our bodies attacking ourselves. And there's some other blood work markers that give us clues that we have autoimmune issues. So glucose is one of them. So blood sugar is definitely a big clue on if we have some autoimmune things going on. So glucose is that sugar that provides us energy for our body and brain. It's our blood sugar. If it's too low or if it's too high, we want to see those numbers 85 to 90. No, excuse me, 99. If it's high or if it's low, it means that we have a blood sugar imbalance or some hormone chaos going on. Again, this is a clue that there is some autoimmune components going on. All right, so this is a number that we want to watch on our blood work. And then, of course, A1C measures the average blood sugar levels in the past 2 to 3 months, okay, by testing the hemoglobin protein. So, and if they're coated with sugar, they're glycated, and that's the measurement that they use for diabetes. All right. So 4.8 to 5.6 is where we want to see that number. If it's 5.7 to 6.3, you're pre-diabetic. And if it's 6.4 and higher, you are diabetic. All right. So if your A1C markers are off, again, if it's high or low, it just means you have blood sugar imbalance and some hormone chaos going on. But again, this is a huge clue on if you actually have any autoimmune components going on. All right. Here's another clue. I love giving you guys clues because then you know what to look like for when you have your blood work done. So sodium is an electrolyte. So we have 5 or 6 different electrolytes. Sodium comes from most of our food that we eat. You guys, I hope you're using pink salt or sea salt. Don't use iodized salt. Don't use table salt anymore. If you're using table salt, ditch your table salt and get some Himalayan salt or some sea salt. So much healthier for you. There's about 82 minerals in sea salt and Himalayan salt, and our body definitely needs minerals. But our food, most of our sodium comes from food. The ideal number that we want to see is 135 to 140. If it's high or low, we know that your adrenal gland is right above your kidney, and it's part of your hormone system. You can go into adrenal fatigue or total exhaustion. Again, this is a clue that you could have some autoimmune issues. Okay. And potassium. Potassium is, again, an electrolyte. It comes from most of the food, and it presents in all the tissues in our body. So if they were to test your tissues, potassium would show up. We want to see that number between 4 and 4.5. And again, if it's high or low, it means your adrenals are just really stressed out and you can go into adrenal fatigue or exhaustion. And that's when you feel like you need to pick yourself up off the floor, oftentimes. When either of these numbers are off, the potassium or sodium, it can really present a lot of exhaustion. And it's different than just being tired. Tired is when we worked hard and we're tired, or we mentally worked hard and we're tired. This is like physically exhausted. But these are clues that there could be something going on with autoimmune. All right. Cholesterol. Cholesterol is really a huge clue, and it's often misunderstood. So cholesterol probably has one of the most important functions in our body. And when we think of cholesterol, most of us think of, oh my goodness, cholesterol can be bad. They don't realize about the benefits of cholesterol. All right. So what cholesterol really does is it helps your cell membranes form these protective layers, and the layers can control what can enter and leave your cell. And we want nice and healthy cells, right? So cholesterol, that's what their goal is. They also help your liver make bile, which you need to digest your food, and it supports your body's production of hormones like your sex hormones and vitamin D. All right. So cholesterol has a super important job because your cells need to be protected at all times. Also, you store most of your cholesterol isn't necessarily in your blood. A lot of your cholesterol is in your brain. And so about our brain is made out of about 30 to 35% cholesterol. So that fatty mass, when you see pictures of brains or when they show you, a diagram of a brain and it looks like those little kind of weird little things, it's all connected with cholesterol. And we need really good cholesterol to be able to think and to be able to do all the things that we need to do. So cholesterol is not bad.
But there's
That's
two
such a myth
kinds.
that
There's
cholesterol.
two kinds, right? There's the LDL and
Yes,
the
there's
HDL, ADL. I just look at them as
and
lousy,
there's
lousy and happy, and I'm higher
yeah.
on the happy one, the
That's
HDL.
good. So there's actually four different types of cholesterol.
Oh,
And there is a bad cholesterol when we're getting too much unhealthy fat into our body. But we do have good cholesterol as well. All right. So let's talk about the overall cholesterol. So oftentimes doctors will say if your cholesterol is over 170, it's bad. But we need cholesterol. At one time, they were saying over 100. And they're learning more and more and more that we really need it to be between 180 to 220. Now, I've seen cholesterol as high as 1600. All right. So this is the ideal numbers. Ideally, like 150 to 199, we're seeing a lot of, but ideally, we really want it to be between 180 and 220. And don't let your doctor tell you that's a bad number.
So
Okay.
the LDL is
So
the
there's
bad cholesterol and the HDL is the good cholesterol.
Hang on, we'll get there. This is your overall cholesterol. So if you were to look on, a, like, if you had your blood work in front of you, the first thing you're going to see is a total cholesterol number. All right. So this is like your total cholesterol. And so that's the first number you're going to see in a lipid panel. It will say cholesterol. And so this is the number that the very first number that we're going to see. If it's high, doctors will never tell you this. It only means one of three things. And I can promise you this. I've been a functional medicine practitioner for, like I said, almost 20 years. If your cholesterol is high, it means one of three things. Your blood sugar is imbalanced. So your glucose or your A1C might be off. You have a thyroid issue or you have inflammation. Those are the only three reasons your cholesterol is ever high. That's it. And if a doctor sees cholesterol high, the first thing he wants to do is put you on a statin. Most of the time, I'm going to say over 95% of the time, you do not need a statin. Okay. You need either a lifestyle change. Yes, I'll make sure you get a copy of the slides. So, we just need to balance out usually hormones or look at what's going on with your thyroid or look at what's going on with cholesterol. And if we can do those things, right? We can do those things, then you don't need a statin. And most of the time you don't. All right. So let's go on to triglycerides. So triglycerides, that's the type of fat from the foods that we eat. Excessive amounts of triglycerides in your blood are associated with cardiovascular disease and pancreatic inflammation. Okay. So triglycerides, here's the secret. We want your triglycerides to be half of what your cholesterol is. Okay. So if your total cholesterol, let's just say 200, let's use an easy number, right? We would like to see your triglycerides at 100. So we don't want excessive amounts of triglycerides in your blood. We don't want you having any heart issues, and we definitely don't want any inflammation in your pancreas. All right, but triglycerides should be about half of what your cholesterol is. Now, see where it says watch for autoimmune half pattern? Here's what I'm going to talk about next. Our HDL, so these are the first three you're going to see on your cholesterol panel. Cholesterol, triglycerides, HDL. HDL is the good cholesterol because it helps get rid of the extra cholesterol. Kind of funny. We have cholesterol that helps get rid of the extra cholesterol. It brings it to your liver and it ends up in your poop. Okay. A healthy amount of HDL cholesterol works against plaque buildup in the arteries. This improves your risk of heart disease and stroke. So HDL is good cholesterol. Ideally, we want it to be half of our triglycerides. So if our cholesterol is 200 and our triglycerides are 100, we want to see that around 50, 55, your HDL. And if it's low, it just means we need healthy fats. If it's high, it just means we have a lot of healthy fats in us. Okay? So that's not bad. This is good cholesterol right here. We want it to do its job. And
That's the
so
happy stuff.
we want to see, this is the happy one.
Yep.
And so happy, HDL, happy. The H is for happy. All right. So we want to see if it's low, it just means you need to bump up like avocado oil, avocados, good olive oil, no seed oils, no canola oil. Those things will make this jump up really fast. Okay. So we want good fats in our body. So when we see this pattern and we have these three, let's say your cholesterol is 200 and your triglycerides is 201, or your triglycerides might be 40 and then your HDL might be 44. If that pattern isn't like half, 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 right? This is a huge clue that you have something autoimmune going on. And once you get that autoimmune issue handled, your cholesterol will go back to where it needs to be. But if it's not that half, 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 that is a huge clue that there's something autoimmune going on. Interesting, right? So there are a lot of clues in our blood work. You guys, this just is everyday life, and this is for all of you. So vitamin D, or D3 is really what we should be taking because it has K2 in it, is probably one of the misunderstood vitamins that we need. So cholesterol helps that vitamin D get into our cells. And so if we don't have enough vitamin D in our cells, our body is not running on its optimum. Every cell in our body needs vitamin D. Now, here's something interesting. There's only one food that has natural vitamin D. Anybody want to guess what that one food is?
Well, I was going to
Nobody
say
has
milk,
a
but
clue.
I thought it was sunshine, but
What
then
did he?
that's not a food.
Well, sunshine, that's where we get most of it. But there's only one food that has vitamin D in it, and that is mushrooms.
Wow.
Only food. If you see vitamin D in any other food, it's because they've added it into the food. Interesting, isn't that?
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Mushrooms are the only one that holds on to the vitamin D from the sun.
And does it matter if
There's no other.
do they have to be raw, or if you're frying them and braising and so on?
You can do whatever you want with them. Yeah, it will hold them. Yeah, so eat mushrooms, you guys.
Wow.
Mushrooms actually help boost your vitamin D naturally if you like them. And here's the thing, people either love mushrooms or they don't. There's no in between. You either like them or you really don't like them. So,
What was the
but
K
vitamin
stuff
D
that you
is,
were mentioning? But you said the vitamin D and the vitamin D3 has
yeah,
K something. What's the K stuff?
K2. Yeah, it has K2. It's another vitamin that helps regulate the vitamin D and gets it. D by itself, our body doesn't always absorb it. It needs that K2. And yes, we get most of our vitamin D from the sun, but our ozone has been so depleted over the years. And then we are all guilty of wearing sunscreen. And what people don't realize is when you wear sunscreen, it actually blocks vitamin D from getting into our bodies. So even people that are out in the sun, like all the time, my son-in-law works outside and he's like, Mom, he's like, I know that my vitamin D is going to come back high. And his vitamin D came back low. And he's like, what the heck? I'm like, because you wear sunscreen every single day. right? Like he's outside and it's his natural thing. You put on sunscreen because you don't want to get burned. And I said, just because we're out in the sun, it's very a misconception. It will rise. It will be higher if you're out in the sun. But oftentimes it's not. So we want to look at our vitamin D levels on our blood work. And oftentimes doctors don't run this. So this is being your best advocate of asking them to check your vitamin D. Okay, because every cell in your body needs it to be at your optimal best. So we want those numbers. American scale says 32 to 100. Oftentimes, in the functional world, we want to see it between 80 to 100. And this is what the test is called, vitamin D OH-25 levels D3. That's the official name of the test. And so we want to see those numbers so you feel your best and have energy and your cells are healthy and your immune system is being built up, right? Building up your immune system, we hear that all the time, is to make sure we have enough vitamin D inside of us. And we'd love to see those numbers between 80 and 100. If they're 50 to 100, I'm happy. If they're under 50, I make sure that people really bump it up. And here's the thing, the American standard says 4,000 IUs a day. I recommend most people to take 8 to 10,000 IUs a day of vitamin D. If you have too much, you'll just pee it out. But most people need the higher doses of vitamin D. People who take 4,000 IUs usually their numbers are still very low. And oftentimes, yesterday I saw a 19-year-old boy and his vitamin D levels were 7. And every day he just doesn't feel good. He just, those days you get up and you just feel like, he's 19 years old and he feels like that most days. And I saw his vitamin D and said, well, you don't have any energy. Your cells aren't holding on to the good stuff. So it happens. So we want to see those numbers bumped up. All right, now let's talk about your thyroid. I'm going to watch the time. We're at 8:46. So let me get through this real quick. So our thyroid is a gland that's in the back of our neck and it's shaped like a butterfly. And oftentimes doctors will run a TSH. This is the only number that they will run. And this is our thyroid stimulating hormone. And it triggers your thyroid to release hormones, which mainly impact your body's metabolism. Okay. So this is what our hormones do, right? It helps our metabolism run. And high TSH levels indicate hypothyroidism and low ones are hyperthyroidism. In the functional world, we want the numbers to be between 1.8 and 3. If they're high or low, your adrenal and your pituitary gland. So your adrenal gland is that little gland above your kidney, and your pituitary gland, if you were to go like this and your fingers were to meet in the middle, that's where your pituitary gland is. It just means they're not communicating with your thyroid. So this really isn't a thyroid marker. This is really an adrenal and a pituitary marker. Are they talking to your thyroid? We need your adrenal and your pituitary communicating. It's like husband and wife. We need you communicating, or partner and partner, right? We need you communicating. So we need your adrenal and your pituitary to talk to your thyroid. When it's not, it creates extra stress in your body and it creates inflammation. And this, you guys, is a disaster for autoimmune. Thyroid issues are autoimmune. All right. And when that communication breaks down, these are the symptoms that we feel: anxiety, depression, brain fog, sleeplessness, and inability to lose weight, often known as insulin resistance. And I think Mo talked about that last week, a little bit about insulin resistance. She's awesome when it comes to food and insulin resistance. Okay. All right. Then we have what we call a free T3. This is thyroid. So if they do a real thyroid panel, this test will tell you, and this is actually made by the thyroid gland. This is a hormone made by the thyroid gland. And it will tell us if we have like hyperthyroidism. So we want that number to be between 3 and 4. If it's high or low, it means that you need to take care of your gut and your liver. Okay. And again, clues to autoimmune. Our free T4 measures thyroxine, which is a thyroid hormone in your blood. And again, it can tell you if you have hyper or hypothyroidism. And oftentimes it will tell you if you need to, they'll tell you if you need hormone replacement therapy for your thyroid. 4.8 to 5.6 is the number we want to see. If it's high or low, it just means we have hyper or hypothyroidism. And oftentimes we can take care of that naturally, or your doctor can give you a synthetic replacement. Again, if this is high or low, it's autoimmune. And then this is the antibody that I was taking. Oh, that's the wrong, I have the wrong thing on here. This is an antibody. I'm sorry. I will fix this slide before I send it over to you. Don't know how that got on there, but this is your antibodies. If you develop antibodies, it means that if it's high, that you have something called Hashimoto's, which again is a thyroid issue, can cause all kinds of issues, losing your hair, being hot or cold, has a lot of things. But I will fix this slide for you guys. Definitely a sure tail sign if you have some autoimmune issues. So let's talk real quickly about some of the ways that you can relieve symptoms of any kind of autoimmune symptoms. The first thing is an anti-inflammatory nutrition. So oftentimes if people are having flare-up, I'll tell them to go on an AIP diet, which is an autoimmune protocol. It's really getting rid of all of your anti-inflammatory foods. So less sugar, less bread, no alcohol during that time. And usually, and you can look up an AIP diet. Usually that diet shouldn't last more than 90 days just for your body to get the inflammation out of your body. Restorative sleep. So we should be sleeping. If you are over 40, you should be sleeping between 7 to 8 hours. If you're over 50, you probably need to sleep 8 to 9 hours a night. And if you're over 60, that can go anywhere between 8 to 10 hours. The older we get, the more sleep we need, kind of like teenagers. So teenagers need more sleep. As we get older, we need more sleep as well. So there's lots of things we can do to get better sleep, turning off our blue screens before we go to bed, about an hour, doing some deep breathing, even journaling, practicing gratitude. All of those things help us with sleep. Sleeping in a cool, dark room, those help with sleep as well. Healing our guts. The more we heal our gut and keep our gut healthy and our microbiome healthy, I just wrote a microbiome cookbook for a very large supplement company. The more we heal our gut, the healthier we are and the less autoimmune symptoms that we have. Unfortunately, most of the things that we have, we can't heal 100%, but we can keep them at bay 80 to 90%, especially if we heal our guts. Okay. Bone broth is fantastic for helping heal our guts. Stress less, meditation, taking walks, petting your dog, being with friends and family, but really practice to reduce your stress. Some box breathing or 7-Eleven breathing, those things will help. And I say move your body gently because not everybody can exercise, but everybody can move your body gently. So movement is very good. If you have any autoimmune symptoms, take a short walk. Maybe it's just walking to your mailbox and back. Maybe it's just doing some stretching. Maybe it's doing some yoga, but you don't have to do hardcore exercise. We just need to move our bodies. Supporting our detox pathways, you can work with a functional person to help with this, but supporting our detox pathways is really important as well. Balancing our blood sugar. Again, balancing your blood sugar is usually taking out all the foods with the extra sugar in them to get your blood sugar balanced out. Reducing the toxins in your environment. I can give you a list of things that you can do to get some of those toxins out of your environment. You can't control what's outside of your home, but you can control what's inside of your home. And one of the biggest things that people don't realize is dryer sheets are probably one of the most toxic things that we use in our household. So ladies, if you are using dryer sheets, do your favor and ditch them. Go on to Amazon and buy some wool dryer balls. Your clothes will last longer and you will not be putting toxins into your body. Okay. Dryer balls dryer sheets are one of the most terrible things, especially for women. It really, really plays havoc with our hormones. Women that are in menopause, are going through perimenopause and they're having a lot of night sweats, one of the first things I do is tell them to get rid of those dryer sheets. So you have no idea how toxic those are. And connect with community and joy, which you guys have. You have the coffee club is community and joy and celebrating each other. So this is a great way to help reduce some of those autoimmune symptoms and to build up your immune system. All of these things right here build up your immune system so that your body stops attacking itself. And really that's what we want. We just want our body to not, to do the right things and not hurt us. So, oh, I don't have a bonus in there. I don't know how that screen got in there. I actually thought my email address was in there. So I will send you guys the slides. And I really hope that giving these clues in your blood work and learning what autoimmune, how it attacks your body and strengthening your immune system really will help you building up your vitamin D, doing some of those exercises and taking care of yourself so it builds up your immune system really will help your body from actually attacking itself. So I just want to
Wow.
thank you guys for having me today.
Thank you so much, Nicole. This is amazing. I have no idea. Wow, wow, wow. I think what Miriam is doing with her Enlighten Academy, it's kind of tie into this whole thing. Miriam, what do you think?
Yeah, thank you so much, Nicole. This was a very useful information. I learned a lot and I wrote a lot of notes. And I have been getting a very less sleep in the last couple of months, and that's why I'm actually not functioning. I don't feel like I'm exhausted, my body hurts and everything. So it has a lot to do with this because I'm not getting 7 hours because I'm so worried about the stuff. I get up and start working. So I've been getting like 4 or 5 hours of sleep every night.
And you're stressing out,
Not
Miriam.
enough. Yeah. And that's when our body starts attacking itself. So you really need to here's the thing. If you took the time and you slept, right? And you gave yourself that space to sleep and heal, our bodies heal so much when we sleep. So if you took the time out and said, you know what, I'm going to allow my body to sleep. You're going to prep yourself to sleep and do all the good things before you go to bed. And you've heard them all, right? Like don't use your phone, sleep in that cool, dark room. If you allowed yourself to sleep, you'd probably be more productive during the day than losing those 3 hours of sleep because you're so stressed. And I'd really highly recommend taking out sugary foods right now, sugary drinks, sugary foods. Think meat, veggies, and meat, veggies, and fruit, fruit, veggies, and meat. There we go. Protein. So I'm like, wait, what am I saying here? So you definitely want to make sure that you're eating like really clean food right now, especially when we're super stressed out. That will definitely help build your immune system up and really, you know, get yourself some D3. You guys, if you need some vitamin D, I can order it for you so it doesn't have fillers in it. That's a whole different story of supplements that have fillers in it. But if you need some good quality D3, I can help you. If you have blood work and you want it read, I can help you. And you can reach out to me on Messenger if you want some guidance. So with anything.
Thank you.
But
I just
practice
recently
sleep,
did my blood
Marianne.
work. I recently did my blood work. I'm going to go and review it based on the information you gave me and see what's going on. Maybe I
You
will
can
send it to you.
schedule an appointment with Nicole. She'll take a look at your blood work and tell you what to do.
Yeah, because
You
the
can. I
doctors
had my email in
don't
there
have time.
and it was, yeah. So Marie, we can put my information in
Coffee
the
chat.
messenger. How you can, the coffee chat of how you can reach me. And I'm happy to, do a call with you. See how I
Yeah,
can help you.
thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole.
Kathleen, I know
Welcome.
Kathleen wanted to say something, but he did.
That was amazing. You're talking my language. I've had chronic Lyme for decades. I had Lyme disease twice. As a teenager, I had Epstein-Barr virus from mono.
Mhm.
And so I've struggled with autoimmune type disorders my entire life. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which I don't know if you feel the same as I do. I think you hinted at it earlier that it's not really a thing, or if it is an actual thing, that they overdiagnose it. Um, and I've done a lot of research on Lyme and boosting your health through the techniques that you described. But I would like to take it a step further. I have been looking for somebody to help me with my blood work, so I would definitely like to make an appointment as well. I think my problem is that I I know pretty much what I need to do, not everything, most of it. It's just doing it, sticking to the diet, not drinking alcohol. Alcohol is poison to our bodies, especially as we age. Uh, it's just not a good thing, but I just can't seem to give up the wine. So, thanks for everything. It was really fascinating and informative, and I look forward to talking to you more.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. And I would love to have this conversation with you. I used to do a class called Say No to the F Word. And that is fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
And the reason why is it's so, unfortunately, it's so overdiagnosed. And here's what happens. And I've seen it over 17 years, you guys. So what happens is people go to the doctor just like me, and you're having these symptoms, and the doctor, it's really actually sad for doctors. And I'm going to advocate for doctors right now as well. Somewhere along our system, right? Somewhere along in the system, doctors have gotten a bad rap because they only give you 15 minutes of time. And the reason that they only give you 15 minutes of time is because our insurance companies are dictating that they can only give you 15 minutes of time. And so it's become this really corrupt system. It's not like the old-fashioned doctor that would sit and listen to you and say, okay, let's take a look at all of this. That's not what happens these days. And it's really, the doctors are literally being driven by insurance, which is really sad. And then they don't educate themselves after they've gone to school. They literally get 6 to 8 hours of nutrition in their schooling. In 12 years of schooling, they get 6 to 8 hours of nutrition. So even, most doctors don't go look and go, oh, nutrition heals us, right? What we put in our bodies heals us. What we do, they don't go down that. So we really need these integrative doctors that are really, and now we're seeing concierge doctors and integrative doctors, and those are the ones that are taking a step back going, whoa, we need to do something differently. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't take insurance when they go down that concierge or other, because the insurance companies just won't pay for this. So again, the insurance companies, and like I said, a lot of times the doctors get the bad rap because my doctor is clueless. My doctor is this, my doctor is that. And it's not necessarily because of your doctor, it's because they're just being driven by big pharma and insurance companies, which is unfortunate, right? And so anybody who has autoimmune symptoms that they're not showing antibodies yet in one specific category, because there's like 4 or 5 different antibody tests, probably more than that, but 4 or 5 common ones, right? If they're not showing antibodies, they can't give a diagnosis. And sometimes it takes many years. And so they lump you into this fibromyalgia. And fibromyalgia, it's real. Your symptoms are real, but the term fibromyalgia and what's happening, I mean, and I hate to say this, a lot of women should just wear shirts. I am fibromyalgia. They believe because these symptoms they're so unheard, like they're so misdiagnosed and not being heard, they become fibromyalgia, right? I am fibromyalgia, and it becomes who their core. So I love that you have not, and I'm not saying you don't have any fibromyalgia symptoms. You probably have a lot of autoimmune symptoms if you have Lyme, because they correlate. And so it's just unfortunate that you get lumped into this box, right? And then they believe that box, and mindset is so prevalent of getting well. So when I was back in that coma that for 4 months. And most people, after you've been in a coma for so long, you don't usually come out. I asked my doctor what I needed to do to live. And this is a good way to end this conversation. He told me I needed three things. And he was fabulous. He was in his early 70s. He's an older gentleman, and he was really taking such great care of me. And so when I went into surgery, I just didn't wake up on my third surgery trying to get this mold out of my lungs. But when I woke up, I said to him, I have teenagers and I do not believe this is my time. Like, I need to live. I want to live. And I said, what do I need to do to live? And he said, Nicole, you need three things. The first thing is, I'm not sure what your faith is. And he says, and I don't care what denomination you are. I think you're Christian based, but I'm not sure. He says, but whatever your faith is, I need you to magnify that by 10. And once you've done that, I need you to magnify it by 100. You have to believe in some kind of higher power, and you have to believe that you're going to get better. Without that, you're never going to be well. He literally said, I don't care if you pray to a damn rock or a cat or God or Jesus or Buddha, whatever it is, you need to have this faith. And he says, the second thing you need is me. And he says, I'm not saying that because I have an ego. It's because I'm a doctor and I remember that I'm practicing medicine. And I have reached out to so many colleagues around the country and so many alternative doctors that think, what can I do to help you? You have to remember that doctors have to remember they're practicing medicine. And when we forget that we're practicing and we let our egos get in the way, that's when we deserve to be fired. And you have the choice of what doctors you get to choose. And he says the third thing you need is to get out of this hospital, because what I'm doing in these four walls is not making you better. So we need to go outside of this hospital to find things that are going to contribute to your health. Probably the most powerful conversation I've ever had in my life when it came to my health. And that's why I do exactly what I do, is because of that doctor who made such an impact in my life. And he truly loved me and cared about me enough that he looked outside of the traditional medicine world to actually get me better. So
Wow.
I love him, and
That's a
he's just he's a fabulous person. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Really quick, another diagnosis like fibromyalgia is IBS.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's bullshit.
I
Yeah,
literally.
thank you so much. It's been so amazing and educational. So, if you don't mind, Nicole, if you can post after you revise slides that you're going to fix,
Yeah,
and
I'll
then
fix
also
that
your
slide.
contact information so people can make an appointment with you. And feel free to, if you have any like classes and stuff you want to post on the coffee chat, feel free to do so, because I think we have a lot of women with who will appreciate your services. What a gift. Next week, Ann Lynn's is going to do something similar in conjunction with what you're talking about today. It's somatic practices related to a holistic way of approaching, wellness, deactivating your stress level,
Mhm. That's
and
good. That's really good.
connection and connection. So it's kind of a deeper way of healing related to your topic here. It's a holistic approach. So this
Mhm.
is awesome.
Rainey, I'm so glad. I wasn't paying attention. So I'll be honest, for 7 a.m. is so early for me because I pay attention to my sleep cycle. So I don't usually get up until 7. I allow myself to wake up naturally every day. And I wake up between 6:30 and 7. So that's why I wasn't attending at 7 a.m. And then when you said this was at 8 a.m. now, I was so excited because I was like, oh my goodness, then I can hop on these calls on Thursdays, because I stick to my boundaries with my sleep cycle, because sleep is so important to me. And so now I know it's 8 a.m. As of January, I didn't realize that. So I'm so excited that I'll be able to hop in to some of these conversations and listen to these fabulous speakers. So um, I'm so glad you reached out to me yesterday. Otherwise, I would have been on here at 7 a.m. this morning.
I was wondering why you were not responding. But yeah, next week the topic is amazing. I'm going to be traveling a lot my husband just retired, and so my schedule is going to be so sporadic. So I won't be hosting the call starting in May, but the presenters, whoever signed up, they will post their Zoom link. So make sure that you don't jump on my Zoom link because I'll be traveling again. So, but Nicole, anytime you have a presentation you want to present on the coffee club, just feel free to post it, you know. Same thing with you, with Marianne or Kathleen or anyone. I don't know, Tanya. I know I see you here, but I don't know if you're actually there or not. But this is so great. What a great topic. Thank you again, and uh, Nicole
Thank
and
you for having
everyone.
me.
Yeah. Anybody else want to say anything
Sure.
before we close? Okay. Otherwise, thank you, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Have a great
Thank you,
weekend.
Bye.
everyone.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Nicole. That was great.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Rini.